Hello again, and welcome to On a Storyteller's Night. I'm Nathan, joined as always by my co-host Josh.
Good day, everyone.
So, obviously, we've missed out on one with various things happening last week. So, what have you been up to the past week? Well, 2 weeks.
Well, I'll say the reason why is because I was ill. I reckon I got sunstroke or a sun bug. But the past 2 weeks, I have been extremely busy. I'm doing very well with my college work.
Good.
I haven't been able to record or do any videos or stream, obviously, because of being ill, of which my PlayStation 5 controller kind of gave up on itself. So, as I messaged you earlier, I'll be getting a new controller within the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been doing a lot of training recently, hiking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I plan on hiking in a place called Bude in about, I think about a month and a half time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of hiking in Bude. That's if certain people don't turn up. If certain people turn up, then I'll chill out with them. But
Yeah.
I've been training recently to do some hiking.
Oh, cool. Sounds good. I used to like hiking and stuff. I used to do a lot of that when I was a kid, but I haven't done it for a long time. Don't tend to go out much because I'm always too busy on the bloody computer these days. So I don't tend to do much hiking and walking around.
What about yourself, mate? The past 2 weeks?
Work. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, work. Mainly more than anything. There's been interesting stuff happening at work. Today, I was writing a proposal to the council for some funding for some IT equipment. So that was fun because I had to go through like all the different stuff for the council, like to justify why we would make a difference in the community and how it would make a difference to the school and all of this kind of thing. So it was pages and pages of like justifying what we want to do, why we want to do it, what the benefits will be. So that was fun. And I only had from when I stopped from about 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock to do it. So that was fun. It's about 4 pages long. So that was good fun. I had that. The other day was a really weird thing happened in work on, it was Thursday last week. Heard like a crashing noise outside. Now, it's quite an old like school building, like a classic red brick like school building with like a big wall around it. And I hear this crashing noise, and it turns out somebody had crashed into our fence. Like we've got a metal gate, big brick wall, and we've got like a barrier that goes on down. So he actually hit one of the big pillars that holds the gate in place and knocked the gate off. He knocked a couple of bollards off the pavement. Now, opposite school is a petrol station. He came out of the petrol station, across the road, onto the pavement, hit 3 bollards, and then hit the post and knocked the gate off. And it's like, how could he have done that just coming out of a garage? And I looked at the footage and so on, because obviously I do all the CCTV for the school, so I had to get that for the police. And it works out, and the distance he travelled, it was only about 30 or 40 meters, if that. By the time he hit the post, bear in mind that distance, he was going about 35 miles an hour.
Whoa.
So he must have floored it. It's this older guy, we think he might have had a heart attack or had some kind of, a seizure or something happened to him. But he told his wife he kept pressing the brake and nothing happened. It was only 4 seconds, the incident, so there's no way he was pressing the brake. He must have pressed the accelerator. But he had a manual car, it wasn't even like an automatic, so getting up to like almost 40 miles an hour in 4 seconds, that's just like, that's ridiculous. Nobody was hurt, luckily, and it was after all the kids had left. So if he had done it like half an hour earlier, there would have been all kids lined up there. The cleaners that are outside having a cigarette at the time had to like dive out of the way. It was frightening to see that sort of thing happen. He completely totaled his car. There was some staff leaving, and like where the main gate is, to the right-hand side as you go in, there's a little car park that we use, and then there's like another school behind us, and we use their car park as well. One of the staff was coming from the main car park down, and he stopped to check left to see if anybody was coming out. And as he stopped, he turned around again and just saw this car flying towards him. And one of the bollards ended up underneath his car. And I'm not kidding, the big, massive metal gates, and these are big, heavy, like solid metal gates, missed his car by about a foot.
Jesus.
So if he was a couple of seconds like earlier, he would have been hit. And it's just like, wow, it's absolutely crazy. But other than that, gaming, I've been doing like GTA as always and making money. I've bought the last thing that I didn't have, which is the Arena War.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was playing it with Jack when he was over last weekend, and he showed me some of the cars he's got from Arena War. Oh my god, I didn't realize you could just use them as normal cars after you do them up. I thought they were just going to be for Arena War. Oh no, you can use them wherever you want to.
Yeah, like big Mad Max stuff.
Yeah, he's got like spinning saw blades coming off the sides, massive rollers on the front, and you can put like jump things on them. So you can make the car jump up and down and stuff. I was like, oh, this is too much fun, so I have to do that. Yeah, decided, to that because he was over and he's still got his PS5 here. So I was like, oh, let's have a go at that. Then I found out how much money he's currently got in game. 17 million he's sitting on. Well, he's made more money in the game than I have. Which is just like, surprised. What the hell? So the other game, which is one I'd love to play with you and Gaz and Jack or anyone else, it's a PC game though, and it's called Drive Beyond Horizons.
I feel like I've heard that.
It
immediately pricked up my ears. Like, I've definitely heard that before.
Yeah, so I've been playing it on my YouTube. I've completed the main game. It's still kind of early access, so it's not
Drive Beyond Horizons.
Yeah, so I've done the basic level, and now I'm doing like the infinite mode where you drive around. So basically, it's a post-apocalyptic game where you start off in this garage with a broken car. So you have to fix up the car just by wandering around and getting all the parts you need. And then you can drive off like down these roads in the desert. There are zombies around. There's occasionally UFOs will try and pick you up. You can get a few guns and that sort of thing. But everywhere you go, there'll be bits of cars. There'll be like chassis of cars. There'll be wheels, all the different components. But you can build these cars. You can put any component on any car pretty much. But you can build like full cars and make them look nice and like scrub them up. And you basically go around trying to find car parts. And if you complete one of the cars, the next time you play it, you can start with that car instead of the basic nasty one. Oh, and it's like really cool. There's pickup trucks, there's massive trucks, there's sports cars. You know, they've changed the names of them and that sort of thing. But it was like there's a Mustang that I'm currently building, and it's got all the parts. But there's sometimes like 40 or 50 parts you have to get. So you have to get all the pedals, the gear knobs, the steering wheels, all the lights, the indicators, the bumpers, all the different windows. You have to do all of that, but it's all random where you'll find things. And you'll drive down the road, you might find a garage, you might find a bus stop, and you just wander around, and then you have to worry about food and water and stuff like that as well, because it's a survival game as well. It's really, really good fun. And it's multiplayer. Yeah,
I'm looking at it now. It's not too half bad. I'd give that a go. Definitely. How much is it on Steam?
Good. I think it's about 20 quid on Steam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There is a demo on there as well, but it is good fun. I've really enjoyed it. It looks like there's quite a big community building for it, of people that just like go out and try and build each of the cars, and there's people playing it for hours on Twitch, just like going looking for car parts and having all their all the people watching telling them, oh no, you missed something over there, and trying to help them find all the pieces. It's good fun. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, I'll give it a go. I'll give the demo a go, because I'm always up for trying new games if there's a demo. But just quickly on the game topic, I did forget to mention that I've playing, and I've almost completed again, Resident Evil 4 remake the past 2 weeks.
Again?
No, remake.
You didn't do the remake.
I didn't do the remake yet. I played it, and I can comfortably say it is the best remake out there of Resident Evil thus far.
Is it better to control than the original one? Because I hated the control method.
They've brought stealth into the game. They've brought actually, like what you do in Destiny. You you choose a pathfinder. You go your own way. You don't have to follow the story. You can explore a bigger map. You have bounties to do for the merchant, which gives you extra money to buy extra equipment. Yeah. I really, really, really am hooked on it.
because I'm already over halfway on my second playthrough. My first playthrough, I completed in
Nice.
15 hours because I take my time. I want to read. I want to learn. Second playthrough, I'm already 4 hours in, and I'm past halfway through.
I might have to have a look at that again, see when it's on sale.
We need to start 6 again at some point.
Yeah,
but that's another story for another day.
it is indeed. Right.
Anyways, what's the topic tonight? Yeah, what's the topic?
I thought we'd go for something more light-hearted and kind of more fun, because we've had quite a lot of kind of in-depth ones lately, haven't we? Both of us have been kind of doing quite in-depth ones. So, both of us love movies. So, the topic of today is movie plots that make no sense. Breaking down bizarre film logic. Now, this doesn't have to be awful films that are just crap. This could be amazing films that just make no sense in places, or people doing stupid things that, like, why are they doing that? It makes no sense. That kind of thing. So there's lots and lots of those. So to start one, obviously we're both huge fans of Alien.
Yep.
So,
I know where this is going.
Where do you think it's going? Where do you think it's going?
I'm more. Oh wait, which film are we on about? Are we on about the first one?
That's the thing. Oh no. No, I'm on about a specific one in the franchise, Prometheus.
Oh God.
So you've got these scientists. They're on an alien planet. They see some squidgy snake alien, and they take their helmets off and stuff. Like,
that makes no sense.
Poke it, and it's like, oh, what's this? Poke. Like, seriously, what are you doing? And it's just, I just don't understand why they do that in movies. You have people that are supposed to be intelligent, and they do stupid things. And the other thing they do in that, there's a spaceship crashing towards you, and it's quite a thin one, so you run away from it. You don't run sideways. Why do they always do that in movies? Some things, like a plane's crashing in front of you, so you run away from it. If you go sideways, you can run further away from the main bulk of it, can't you? But they never do. They always try and run away from it, the direction it's going. Like, why?
You see, for me, when it comes to like that doesn't make sense in films, is I know it's a niche stereotype, but it's mainly horror films. They trip over air. Air.
But horror films in general, it's always the same crap. They trip over stuff while they're running away because they're not paying attention. The whole thing is they're not paying attention to where their feet are going because they're too busy looking behind them and looking around. So they're not paying attention to what's below them. So, you know, sometimes. But it's always, there's a funny noise in the basement. There's no light. Check. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah,
you won't be back in a minute.
I'm telling you now, Nathan, if me and you were in a haunted house with a big group and we hear a loud bang, everyone's in one room, but we hear a loud bang beneath us, I'm walking out. I'm walking out. I ain't going nowhere near that door.
That's just absolutely ridiculous. But that's the thing is, there's so many things like that in movies and you think, oh, that'd be really good. And it's just like, no. There's something that's like Face Off. I love that movie because it's so stupid. Do you remember Face Off?
I can't say I do. Okay,
John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. And they take each other's faces and they somehow manage to change their voices. But nobody in their lives, like the wife, doesn't notice that his body's completely bloody different. He's a different shape. Like, what? It's just so stupid. The one steals the one face and the other guy's no. It's a kind of an interesting idea, but it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, let's agree. Like, what the hell is that about? It's so stupid. But there's so many things in so many movies. Or you look at a movie as a whole, and it's a really good movie, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense why the movie is. So take Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Why is Indiana Jones even in the movie? What does he do? Nothing. He takes no active part in the storyline whatsoever. If he wasn't there, they'd still open up the Ark of the Covenant and all the Nazis would die. So what did he do other than take it to a warehouse? That's all he's done in the whole movie, is at the end of the movie, he takes it to a warehouse. That's it. A 2-hour movie, all he accomplishes is to get it locked away in a warehouse somewhere. It's like, it's just, it's like we can go on with things like time travel in movies. That's the one thing that it always winds me up because
I've got a big one for you then.
Yeah.
Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, Force
Yeah.
healing. Force
Yeah.
healing. That
Everything in that. The
the
whole
Rey in
Force projection
Rey in
in the
general,
one
yeah.
before. It's just everything about those movies. Luke Skywalker died of the Force. He had an overload of Force after he did a Force projection, which doesn't even happen. But then he did a Force projection, yet he managed to give Leia the dice from the Millennium Falcon. How, if he wasn't actually there? So he can Force teleport?
On top of that, the thing that I clicked on immediately was when I saw the film, I was like, okay, Luke showing up. This is somewhat making sense, but at the same time, it clearly doesn't because Luke is still alive. When you project yourself as a Force ghost, you're dead. You have been killed or you have passed away. Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, they all became
doesn't project
ghosts.
himself as a ghost, though.
No, he
didn't
doesn't.
have the blue outline and he wasn't sort of translucent. He was like a fully formed person.
But the thing that really annoyed me was, like, this really annoyed me before I hated the film. The moment I hated the film comes shortly after. It's when he becomes so acrobatic and he's moving a lot. Like, Force Ghosts, they don't do that. The Clone Wars hasn't done it. Rebels haven't done it. The prequels, original trilogy, nothing in between has done it. Before that film, before Rise of Skywalker, sorry, nothing's done that. But all of a sudden it exists. And then he just shrivels up into his coat.
Yeah, but there's so many things like that they did. Like, look at the Force Skype calls. What's that about? Luke and Leia, brother and sister.
Yeah.
And he could barely send her a message saying, Leia. Leia said, oh, I can sense him, he's there. He didn't, like, force project into man and go, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. No. You can't make a bloody... No, you can't do a whole thing like that and see the person. That's just not how the Force works. It does not do this stupid nonsense. And don't get me started on the whole plot line with that stupid knife that shows the location. How?
Somehow,
How is
Emperor...
a knife going to do that? Something that's crashed, like, that makes no sense. And C-3PO and the Sith language, and he can't, and he's then a bad guy. What it is? Oh my God!
Yeah, I know that really retcons the prequels and original trilogies. Like, by the way, C-3PO could always speak to Sith language. Like, no, Anakin built him from Anakin built him from spare parts, from scratch.
Exactly. He was never programmed to have Sith language. Ever. It's just just the whole thing of these bloody.
The fact is, the term of the fact that we have to come to terms with is that the sequels to the prequels and the original trilogy, they work well as solo films, but if you put them up against films that had a direction from the beginning, the sequels just don't make sense in general. The only, and we've spoken about this in our own time as well, the best film of the three sequels is the first one because it is the better one. The Rise of Skywalker.
Up to a point. And
up to a point.
And then it just gets stupid. Well, in fact, it starts to go really awful when they decide to kill off Han Solo.
Yeah.
After that point, it all gets really ridiculous because then Rey is suddenly, well, she's already using the Force by that, and it's just like Finn was wasted. He should have been like. He
should have been in Rey's position. He should have been the Force sensitive one because that's an interest. Me and you said this. This would be an interesting. Would be an interesting plot. Like, he's part of the First Order. He's under the dark side's nose, and they haven't noticed there's a Force sensitive among them.
Yeah.
And then he betrays the First Order. That's a perfect plot, but no.
Yeah. No, all the plots are stupid, and Palpatine's actually alive because like,
I am the Senate.
All that. I am the Sith. I am all the Jedi. No, you're not. Like, it's just everything about those movies were just so stupid. There's not much good in it. Some of the stuff with Luke I quite enjoyed, like when he was training her and kind of taking the mick out of her and stuff. I enjoyed that stuff. But the blue milk and all the other
I
stuff.
was about to say the milk.
The goddamn porgs, why? We don't need the bloody porgs. And that move when they had the whole casino thing and the heist, which had no relevance to anything whatsoever, and it was just pointless. And there's so many just pointless things they did that made no sense at all. None of it. It was so, well, we better get off Star Wars, or we can do a whole
Yeah.
why new Star Wars is crap. But oh my god, it's just so okay. Other things that make no sense. So another big one, Armageddon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Meteor coming down to Earth. They need somebody to drill a hole and put nuclear weapons in or whatever. And they're gonna train a bunch of like construction workers to be astronauts rather than training astronauts who are highly intelligent military to just drill something. Like, how is it easier to train somebody to be an astronaut than it is to train somebody to drill some holes? That makes no sense at all. None.
No.
It's stupid. Oh.
See, for me, it's The Purge.
Yeah.
I love the Purge films. They are good films with the occasional great that shines through. But their plots entirely make no sense.
Yeah.
Yes, it makes sense that once a year, America is murder-free. You have 24 hours to do whatever the hell you want. But the things that happen within those 24 hours that we see through the film, you would never, ever envision that. It makes no sense, in my opinion.
No, it doesn't, because it's the whole thing in consequences. So if you killed somebody else will want to get revenge. They're not going to wait a year for the next purge.
No.
Or somebody is going to. You can't just steal somebody's car during the purge. What do you do then the next day? Well, you've got to tax insure it and have it in your name. Can you then go to the DVLA and get the logbook put in your name and call the insurance company and get... Can you do all that then when you've stolen a car? Well, that doesn't work.
The films are great, but the entire franchise makes no sense from the get-go.
Exactly. It doesn't. It's an interesting idea, like lawlessness, but they still have to have some rules or it can't work. It's all the fallout of what happens the next day. With all these people are suddenly dead. Well, all their families, friends, their place of work. What if they've got an important job and they've got none of it makes sense. The consequence of those actions don't make sense at all, do they?
I've got another heater for you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to say the name straight away, but the first half of this franchise made sense. The second half, when they went over the top to the extreme, makes no sense. The Fast and Furious franchise.
God,
yeah. The first half is good.
I didn't like. The first one was good. It was basically Point Break with cars. Or Drop Zone with cars.
Tokyo Drift is my favourite.
Tokyo Drift was good. Yeah, it was completely grounded. It all made sense. The first one was good because it was an interesting idea. It was, I said it's the same storyline. Point Break is exactly the same storyline. Drop Zone is the same storyline. Obviously, Point Break is the one with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, and it's surfers that go around and rob banks as the dead presidents because they wear masks of all different presidents. That made sense, and it was quite good. Exactly the same storyline. The cop goes undercover with this extreme gang, finds out all about them, falls in love with one of the gang members, or daughter, or sister, or best friend. Always falls in love with them, and then he kind of turns on the cops and lets the guy go. That's exactly the same as Fast and Furious. Exactly, pretty much the same as Drop Zone, which was the Wesley Snipes skydiving one. So there's lots of these the same, and it made sense for that reason. 2. It was okay, I guess, where they kind of let him out of jail because they've got something they need him to do in cars. Okay. 3 was good because it was just purely about the cars. None of the other stuff mattered.
Yeah.
Dan was good.
It's as soon as it hit 6. As soon as it hit 6, it went immediately downhill.
As soon as Vin Diesel's back in it. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
On that, isn't it? As soon as Vin Diesel's in it, it turns to shit again. Oh, I wonder why that is. I wonder what the difference is there. But yeah, it started out interesting. A bunch of car people robbing, trucks and trailers and stuff while on the road, because that made sense. But then they all suddenly really good with all guns. They all know every type of martial arts can beat anybody up. They're a bunch of racers. They don't know the first thing about any of this stuff. I don't understand it. And going into space and jumping out of the back of airplanes. It's just got more and more ridiculous and stupid. And submarines. How can you do a car against a submarine, for God's sake? Like, seriously.
I know.
What is that about?
The thing is, from the first Fast and Furious in 2001 all the way up to... No, it's Fast and Furious 4 in 2009. Yeah, because 2001 was the first one. 2003, number 2 came out. Then you had Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, and then Fast and Furious 4. After 4, 5 had The Rock.
Well, that's no.
That's a no. 6 had the Lamborghini going from building to building to building. Is that Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Lamborghini, it was something else, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it was something else. Fast and Furious 7 had the goddamn... was that 8 who had the sub?
Oh, I can't
No,
remember.
7 was parachuting. The cars
parachuting out of the plane. Yeah, that was
plane,
stupid.
yeah. Furious 8 had the submarine. Hobbs and Shaw was a good film, I will admit, but it was just a pile of crap.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, by the way, I have an exoskeleton that controls my body for me. No. 9, 10, and 10. 9 and 10 I haven't watched, and I refuse to watch them.
No, I can't even remember the last one I watched, and I didn't even see all of it through. I just couldn't. No, it's just no. Oh, so frustrating. Okay, along the same lines, Super Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
Bruce gets a broken back, and he heals himself, and then sneaks out of the cave, sneaks back into Gotham City that's been sealed off. How? How does he heal a broken back and then get into a place that's been locked down? It's just like, what?
That's the biggest plot hole.
There's so many of them. It's just so stupid. That whole bomb thing at the end. Ugh. They just ripped that out of the original Batman movie, 1966 or 1967, with Adam West, where he's holding the big bomb above his head at the pier. They've just ripped that off, really. Just changed it slightly. Like, come on. Seriously. Oh, I'm just not a big fan of the Dark Knight movies at all. I prefer Tim Burton's version of Batman.
You see,
Dark Knight. I just do not like it for many, many reasons. One, it's the stupid voice. I'm fed up with the Batman voice. No, it's to be stupid. I don't think the storylines were that good for the Dark Knight. They were all kind of a bit predictable, a bit stupid. Bruce Wayne wasn't a proper fleshed out character. I didn't feel it was all kind of
right. So this is where my input comes in. You know by now that I acknowledge if it's great, good, or bad, and I also acknowledge the good, great, good, and bad. The good and bad of everything. I acknowledge both parties. Christian Bale's 3 Batman movies. Yeah. I acknowledge the fact that they are some of the best trilogy sets out there because everyone loves those films for the reasons that it was built decently. But I've only watched them twice, the trilogy twice, because I am with you. I can't stand the stereotypes that goes on in those 3 films. And this is an unpopular opinion from me, but the villains in each film outshine Batman and Christian Bale.
Yeah, there's so many different things. Batman just does nothing, and when he's Bruce Wayne, he does nothing. It's just there's so many issues I have with it. It's and the whole he's using the company to build all the stuff, and he's got Morgan Freeman helping him build all this stuff, and nobody ever questions like why he's having all this stuff. It's just plain black. There's just so many problems that they just don't flesh things out. You just have to take a leap of oh yeah, this is Batman, and that's about it. It's just everything. Oh, it just annoys me. And it's like, as much as I think Heath Ledger was amazing, I'm not that big a fan of the Joker because I don't think it was written that well. He was good, but I don't think it was the ground.
I 100% agree here. The Heath Ledger Joker was bad when it comes to writing the character, but Heath Ledger embodied.
Good.
Yeah, Heath Ledger embodied the Joker, which made that
And it
the
had-
writing different.
Yeah, it had some moments that worked, but I hate that movie as a whole. I do not like the movie because it never seems to know when it's finishing. You know,
I can agree there.
you see the storyline, something happens, it's like, that's the end. And then it carries on a little bit more, and then that's the end. Then it carries on a little bit more. I just get bored of it. I just can't watch it. Because it's like they've tried to, it's like Spider-Man 3. They have too many villains, and they're trying to do too much, and it never kind of resolves each one properly. Because the whole Harvey Dent thing just kind of dragged it on more and more and more and more and more. And it's just like, oh, for God's sake, just somebody like shoot the guy or do something. It's just, and making the choice between the two and all. It's just, oh, it is just ripping off half the stuff from Spider-Man. You've got to make the choice. Which one are you going to save? Well, Spider-Man did that, and he did it well. In the first movie with Tobey Maguire against the Green Goblin, remember, he was carrying the kids in the one thing, or your girlfriend in this, so you can only save one of them, and he saves them both. It's kind of like that, but Batman only bothered saving one because he's an asshole. It's just, they try to take too many things from different things. And for me, it's something I've said many, many years, which hopefully is now changing. The Dark Knight ruined all of DC until now. It's only now that we're getting this new version of Superman is DC actually recovering from the Dark Knight. And I blame all of the problems with DC movies squarely on the Dark Knight, because everything has to be dark and gritty and nighttime. Look at any DC movie, and that's how they've all been. They've all been set at night. They've all been dark. They've all tried to be gritty, but still have superheroes. Every single one of them. Without.
There's only one exception, in my opinion.
Yeah. What one's
The
that?
first Aquaman film.
That wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. It was actually, in my opinion, one of the better out of the old DCU.
But once again, it was bright. It wasn't all set at nighttime. You go, they're in the water, and there's all bioluminescence. It was bright, which is what they've missed on. Superman was too dark. It was too dark. It was dreary. As much as I like Henry Cavill, they were badly written. The plots were crap. They didn't flesh out the character of Clark Kent, who is actually Superman. Superman is his alter ego, and he's actually Clark Kent. The opposite way around to Batman, where Batman is Batman, and his alter ego is Bruce Wayne. They kind of got those. They didn't bother doing that. But you look at it, that was dark. It wasn't about hope. Superman is about hope. The new one looks like they've gone down that line. It's a lot brighter. It's all about, him being like this beacon of hope to people, and they've showed that in some of the trailers, and that I'm looking forward to. But look at any others. Look at Wonder Woman. I quite liked Wonder Woman at the start until she left the island, and then suddenly it was nighttime. On the island, it was bright and daytime and bright colors, and it was kind of they had things going on, and then she leaves the island, and it's just nighttime for the whole rest of the movie, and you've got gods and giants, and it's just like, well, this turns stupid. It's all because of the Dark Knight.
Let's go to the series side of things. I'd like to speak about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And considering that you brought Henry Cavill, I don't see any other series to start off with than the inevitable fall of The Witcher. We haven't seen it because, to us, in my opinion and in my eyes, The Witcher thus far with Henry Cavill on the screen is making sense.
Yeah.
But Henry Cavill obviously knows The Witcher more than the producers and the directors and the writers and whatnot. He saw things happening that Geralt of Rivia wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And I've seen many series in the past but one of my favourite, The Walking Dead. There's so many stuff in series that just don't make sense. And it's only there to make the season longer. And that's what Henry Cavill saw. They're just filler episodes. Some series needs a filler episode. Something to set the pace, to set the tone of these characters. But you didn't get that in The Witcher. And Henry Cavill saw that. The fans see it. And I generally hope Liam Hemsworth does a above average job for the shoes that he has to goddamn fill.
To be honest, I don't think it's down to him. It's going to be down to how they write and direct it.
Yeah, but the thing is, people always jump in the gun and blaming the actor or actress. It's your fault the character is like that. You didn't act well enough.
Well,
then script comes out.
It depends. Because sometimes I think you can squarely place blame on an actor, and I can think of one actor in particular I could squarely give all blame to him for
The
several
Rock.
movies. Oh no, not The Rock. He's just crap anyway. He can only play The Rock.
Oh, okay.
Jared Leto.
Oh God.
Look what did with the Joker, the so-called Joker. That was just stupid. And Morpheus and everything he seems to touch turns to shit. I don't know what it is. He's been okay in some things, but I'd wish he just stick to singing, not so much acting. He's done some good things, but
he did win an Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. He can do some good things, but when it's a character that he can do that with, you can't do that with a Joker.
As soon as he won the Oscar, he's gone crap. I'm starting to see it now. He won the Oscar, and everything after has been rubbish.
The trouble is, he's a method actor, so he tries to pretend he's that person all the time. If he's doing like an average normal person, like the character he played was a real kind of person. It wasn't a superhero. It was a real kind of person. That's fine. Do that. He's the opposite of Johnny Depp, in my opinion. Johnny Depp, brilliant if he's got a really unusual, off-the-wall character that makes no sense. You look, Edward Scissorhands, brilliant. Captain Jack Sparrow, one of the best characters of all time. You couldn't play that like a normal person. You have to be completely mental to do that.
Yeah.
That works. That's 100%. Jared Leto is the other way around. If Jared Leto plays a normal person, he can do a fantastic job because he'll act like a person. When you give him something that's an unrealistic person, he becomes even more unrealistic because he tries to be that person. It's like, listen to all the stuff he does. He tries to be that character 24/7. Can't do that. Heath Ledger was kind of doing that, and look what happened to him. And Jared Leto goes too far with it then.
Yeah, I was just trying to say, Jared Leto, he's the type of person that goes from the character is obscure, but he goes over the top.
Yeah, that's the trouble with him. I think he needs to stick to doing realistic characters, and then he can play it because he does have a good range of skills. But it's when you get out of the realm of reality, he doesn't know how to ground that character so you can actually make it slightly believable. He goes in a completely different direction, which detracts from the characters. You look at the Joker, so-called Joker. I don't know if he had anything to do with the look of it, but that was absolutely dreadful. And the way he acted, it just, none of it felt like the Joker. He went a completely different direction. Morpheus, that's like that. Well, Morbius, not Morpheus. Morbius is one of my favorite characters because vampires. I like vampires. But that movie was awful. It wasn't just him. It was written awful. The directing was awful. The special effects were quite shocking in places. And that didn't have any reason to watch the movie. There was a kind of plot, but you didn't care about any of the characters. So what's the point of a plot if you don't care about any of the characters? That's kind of the problem you get with him. If he's playing an unusual character that isn't grounded in reality, you don't feel anything for him. You don't understand the character, so you don't have any reason to hate him or root for him. You just don't care about him. The Joker can be quite a compelling character. You look at Tim Burton's version, but you had Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is an amazing actor, and I think he was amazing as the Joker. That version of the Joker was fantastic. You compare that to Jared Leto. Hell, compared Jared Leto to Cesar Romero, who did the one in the 60s, and he didn't even shave off his mustache before they painted his face white. And he was a better Joker. Because he had some grounding in an actual person. So you could kind of connect on some level to it. But Jared Leto he disconnects from reality too much when he's given that choice. And we don't need that. We don't need that.
No, we don't. Absolutely not. Sometimes things are just better left alone and untouched.
Yeah. Speaking of vampires, oh my god, I could say so many things about so many different movies. But here's a good one, Twilight. Everyone's favourite vampire series, eh? Oh my god. All right, so you've got these immortal vampires here, been around for hundreds of years. Why the hell do they keep going to high school over and over and over?
Yeah, it's
Why?
Every vampire film,
Why?
though. Every vampire film. Let's go high school.
It's like, oh look, I look 17, so I'm going to keep going to high school all the time. Wouldn't you get bored? You don't need to learn anything else. You can learn that at home. You've got money coming at you. Why are you going to school? Because you like to pick up young girls? That's a bit weird, to be honest. Yes, Epstein. No, that's just, and they seem to do it in so many things like that. It's like there's much better things to do than spend your entire day going to high school. The thing is, not all vampire stuff do it, because a lot of vampires are only around at night. They pretend to be teenagers because that's the age they look, but they don't actually go to school because they can't go around in the day. Most vampires in TV shows, look at Buffy. They all pretend to be teenagers, even though they're all like 30, when they go to the club, because they, try and lure in other people who look the same sort of age. That makes sense because that's what they're doing. But with Twilight, the fact they go there.
Well, yeah, what's that film with Quentin Tarantino, George Clooney, and
Dusk Till Dawn?
Dusk Till Dawn. That it made no sense the entire film, but
it did
brilliant.
In
my opinion,
some of it. All right, what I liked about the movie was the beginning bit. It was quite good seeing, like, Quentin Tarantino's character. It's quite good seeing him acting rather than directing. Seeing, like, the inner workings of his mind when he speaks to somebody, and a girl speaks to him. You see, like, the inner workings of what he thinks is going on compared with the reality. Because obviously, he's a little bit of a pervert and everything else, and really not a nice person. But it's seeing that kind of duality with him. She's saying something to him, and he's misinterpreting that and completely changing the context and the words of what she's saying and making up his own narrative to explain the things that he wants to do. And awful things that he does. And that was quite an interesting sort of look into the psyche of that kind of character. And then they go to the bar and the vampires turn up and it just turns to crap. I didn't like anything past that point. It just got stupid and ridiculous. To be honest, it was when they killed his character, it went like stupid. It's like, did he go behind the camera and then start like directing it or something? Because it all changed completely into like a completely different movie. And I thought it was absolute trash after that point. It was stupid. The vampires, like, you can just like knock their heads off and stuff. They got really weak bodies, so you can just hit their heads off. Nah, it got stupid. Absolutely stupid. But before that bit, I thought the beginning was an interesting kind of view into somebody's sort of inner workings of their mind. I thought that was quite good. The rest of it, take it or leave it. The trouble is they do it too often. I said I'm a huge fan of vampires. I read Dracula when I was probably like 4 or 5, I expect. I remember when I was in primary school for an Eisteddfod, we had to like draw a picture and write a story. I drew a picture of Vlad the Impaler and did like wrote a story about the history of Vlad Dracula. Yeah, like the age of like 5 or something, because there's something wrong with me, obviously. But I've always been a fan of like vampires. I've seen pretty much every vampire movie it's possible to see. There's probably quite a few I've not seen now because they keep making more and more and more. And I've got books, I've got all sorts of stuff. And it always annoys me when it's used in the wrong way. Vampires can be used in quite a good way. It's like Dracula. Nobody's made a proper version of Dracula yet. And it really annoys me. The best version of Dracula I've ever seen was the ballet. That's the best version of Dracula I've seen in my life, was a ballet version of it. Which sounds bizarre, but it was absolutely brilliant. The costumes were brilliant, the stage was brilliant, the music was fantastic, the choreography, everything was great. But no movie yet has got close to the book. And this is something, I think we talked about Nosferatu before, so I'm not going to go down that line.
Yeah.
But we spoke about it before, but there's so many things like TV shows and so on. There's one, was it last year before? Where it's about this like little kind of town, and there was some supernatural things happening. It's like, was it aliens? Is it monsters? Is it demons? Is it something else? And it started really, really interesting. And then they went, oh, it's just vampires. And I turned it off and didn't watch anymore because it was a cop-out. It was the easy solution. It's like not something interesting, something paranormal and something unusual. It's just, oh, yeah, it's vampires. But nothing led up to it was like vampires. You know what I mean? It's just like, ugh. And they do that too many times in movies and TV shows. They take the easy way out instead of something interesting, and it's just frustrating. But anyway, back on topic. Another one, speaking on the lines of like supernatural and stuff. Have you ever seen the movie Signs?
Describe
it's an
the plot.
M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's got Joaquin Phoenix in it and Mel Gibson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson.
So,
yeah. I know what you're on about now.
So there's all these. I think it's a really brilliant movie. I love the movie. The whole way that all the little things that happen throughout the movie all make sense at the end on how they're going to actually survive as a family and like protect each other and how it all works out. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's well written. How all the little things like the kid leaving glasses of water everywhere. The brother like Joaquin Phoenix character, he's good at baseball, but he never took it up, but he's like really strong. How the kid has asthma, and how that's going to, how all these different things save the family and kind of show Mel Gibson's character that there might be a god or there's something like trying to protect him and leaving him clues to how to save his family. And it was quite an interesting kind of way to do it. The only thing I don't like about it is you've got these aliens, their one weakness is water. So they invade a planet that is mostly water. Logic? Like, why our planet? Is there no other planets around anywhere? But they choose a planet that is pretty much covered in water. Why?
So much for the smartest beings in the universe, eh?
Yeah, exactly. It's just...
I remember watching it now that you've spoken about the plot a lot more. I was watching it with my Upi, which is German for granddad.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking to myself about these aliens coming to Earth, and they are immune to anything except water.
But it's a common thing.
Yeah, I know it's common, but it gets you thinking. It makes no, it makes no sense.
It only makes sense for the plot because of the little girl leaving the glasses of dirty water all around the house. They can use that to defeat the alien. That's the only reason the water thing makes sense. Why would they come to a planet that is pretty much deadly to them? But then, speaking of aliens that come to a planet that's deadly for them, War of the Worlds. They didn't know that, but it's the viruses and the microbes that actually killed them off and saved humankind because they didn't know how dirty this planet is. Which is quite an interesting one. But
it's a very interesting take on how to kill. Well, not how, it was accidental. It was bacteria.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I do love War of the Worlds, and that actually reminded me of something I did the other day. I just booked some tickets for something related to War of the Worlds. The Jeff Wayne War of the Worlds double album and the music and all that, yeah?
Of course. You've got tickets.
Not for that. Tickets for Justin Hayward Forever Autumn tour. Forever Autumn is one of my all-time favourite songs. Justin Hayward is the guy that sang it. He's from the Moody Blues originally. But he's touring, like, this year. Got tickets for Cardiff.
I might go. I might have to go.
There's not that many tickets left. It's 19th of October. They're about 50 quid a ticket in Cardiff in the new theatre. And that's not a bad price for tickets these days, but it's like, I have to go. So it's like, oh my God. Can
you send me the link?
I always wanted to see it. Yeah. You can't get them through Ticketmaster. You can only get them now through the new theatre's website.
All right, Brill. That's happy days. Yeah, if you can send me the link after the podcast, that would be
I'll
brilliant.
send you the link. The worrying thing was, I did a search because I just happened to find out he was there. It's like, oh my God, got to. So my mum's going, my son's going. We're doing a whole family thing. Because I'm a huge fan. I've always been a fan of Justin Hayward. But I put in Justin as a search term, and another Justin came up.
Timberlake?
No. Another Justin, more used to doing kids' TV.
Bieber?
Oh, a British one. Oh, come on, you must know.
Justin. Oh no, my head.
Justin Fletcher.
Oh.
He's tall. Not as Mr. Tumble as Justin Fletcher, just actually singing, like doing rock music and doing like normal music. The thing is,
I haven't seen him for years.
He's still doing stuff. He still like has every BBC TV show, I think, is still his. That guy must be so rich. He's talented. He can sing. His dad was a famous singer as well, so it runs in the family. And obviously, he did a lot of singing in a lot of his TV shows. Jack actually saw Mr. Tumble live when he was a kid. He loved Mr. Tumble.
I remember you telling me this.
Mental, yeah.
I know we've gone off course a bit.
Yes, we have a little bit.
I have a quick thought before I forget it, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
With the whole aliens coming to Earth not making sense with water, there's one thing that I remember watching, and it's one of my favourite extraterrestrial films other than a Xenomorph or Predator or a Xenomorph or Yautja. It's called, Species.
Yes, I know Species.
That
Natasha
film.
Henstridge.
That
I know.
that entire first act.
Yeah.
I was lost. It did not make sense to me. It really didn't make
No?
sense. But as soon as a very graphic scene on the train,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as that part ended and the whole story continued off the train, the penny dropped.
Yeah.
From it not making sense to now the whole film's going to make sense.
Yeah.
That is one of the best films as well. For the practical effects back then, brilliant.
It was really good, yeah.
Animation, a bit clunky, but it worked.
Mm.
It's the perfect representation of getting the right cast, big names, names that are coming through, like at that point, Alfred Molina. He wasn't in many films back when Species came out.
Well,
he was breaking through.
He's been in a lot, but only bit parts. Come on, don't get
a
he
little
in like.
I know what I
Raiders of the
meant.
Lost Ark and stuff like that. He's been around for quite a while.
I meant he was a breakthrough actor. He wasn't a big actor. He was in a lot of things. He was breaking through.
Side character in most things.
And I remember watching it. I did a lot of background research on the actors, the directors, writers. I did a lot of background maintenance because it was immediately after I watched Species. I never watched. Oh God damn it! Why have I forgot the name? Starship Troopers.
I love Starship Troopers.
The first one only.
Yes, ignore the other ones. Yes.
Yeah, they don't exist. But when I watched Species and my dad introduced me to that film franchise, I hate him for it, besides the first one, I came to terms that nothing has to be perfect because The Species is not a perfect film.
Oh, no.
It really isn't. But
no. But it's the
idea. It's original, and it's almost like the film's first act tried throwing you off course on purpose, and then it hits you at the beginning of the second act. You're like, that makes so much more sense now.
Yeah,
you don't see many films doing that these days.
No, they used to do it a lot more, where you'd have something happen, and then it would be kind of revealed what's happening. And that happens a lot with alien movies. There's quite a few like that where something kind of happens, like, what in the world is going on? There was one a while ago that actually has two names. It's a Dolph Lundgren movie, believe it or not. One of them is called Dark Angel, and the other name for it is I Come in Peace. You may or may not have seen it. Dolph Lundgren is like a cop, FBI is that type of thing, and there's somebody going around killing people, and what they're doing is injecting them with huge amounts of heroin, so they overdose.
Is this recent?
Oh no, this is back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s.
So, yeah, and they're killing people by doing that, but then they're injecting some of their head and then removing some fluids from it. And there's also people being killed by something really sharp and like almost like a CD size. And it's like the CD launcher one of the bad guys has got. And not to spoil it because it's been around for a long time, but it's actually aliens. So you actually get a good one and a bad one, but I'll leave it to you to find out which ones are which. And what they're doing, this isn't spoiling too much because it's kind of like the main plot and you find out quite early on, is they're injecting people with a huge amount of like heroin so that they can extract like hormones and so on, dopamine and things like that, because that from where they're from is like a really sort of powerful, expensive drug. So they're there to kill people to get this out of them. But it's like you don't realize first of all what's going on. It's all just kind of a bit weird, and then it kind of all clicks like, oh, this is what's going on. Because you don't know who the bad guy actually is and what's going on, and it's quite an interesting thing. But if you've not seen it, it's quite good. It's a bit old now, but that's quite good. There was another one like that called Split Second.
Oh, I know Split Second, yeah.
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah,
because that's one of those ones. It's all
Second.
kind of weird, and then it works out. It is kind of a demon, and it was a weird, but I thought it worked so well for what it was. That the whole aesthetic of it, where London's kind of like flooded and all the rats and everything else, And
See, one of my
Oh,
favourites
brilliant.
with Dolph Lundgren, or there's two. I really like Joshua Tree and Red Scorpion.
Red Scorpion, yeah.
Red Scorpions are great. I love that film so
Showdown
much.
in Little Tokyo
Oh God.
with Brandon Lee.
Mm.
That was a good one. I like that. That was good. Okay, back on target,
Yep,
right?
sure.
So, movies where plots don't make any sense, and you're going to hate this one because it's one of your favourites. Jurassic bloody Park.
Well,
Why do they keep trying to open up a park with dinosaurs? And who gives them insurance for this? Let's be honest. After the first one happened and all those people died and it was disaster, and then you get the newer ones and they go, we want to reopen this dinosaur park, but you know what'll make it even safer? Let's make some super dinosaurs. What? Like,
you see,
what? Why?
when it comes to the title park and world, it's a huge difference.
Mhm.
Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3, they work. Because the first one's a park, second and third film, they're different things. They're not a park. They are research.
No, exactly. No. Yeah, but it's still
World, it
a bit.
makes a problem.
Yeah.
Let's do it again, but modernize everything.
Yeah, but the fact they go, let's splice some different things into different and make these super massive, like, dinosaurs that can camouflage themselves and become invisible and all this nonsense. Why would you do that? Or military? No, they're dinosaurs. You're not going to be able to. Oh, it's just, it winds me up. And in 3, when they take the T-Rex to New York, like that's just doing King Kong again.
So
that was so stupid.
Oh no, that was 2 in San Diego.
Was it? I can't remember. It was just a stupid thing to do. You don't put it on a ship and take it to America.
When you say one of my favourites, I generally thought you were going to go to The Hobbit.
No,
the
I
love
wouldn't.
Story.
We don't
The
count
love
that. We
story.
forget that those movies are really part of it. We just focus on Lord of the Rings and don't worry about The Hobbit.
See, I don't. I do twice a year. I do it. You know by now. I watch Lord of the Rings 3 times a year. I watch Hobbit 2 times a year because that's me, and I know the imperfections of the Hobbit. I acknowledge the imperfections because it's annoying. The love story's nowhere in the books. That makes no sense.
No,
The
it
love
makes
story made
absolutely
no
no
sense.
sense. No, it doesn't make any logical sense.
See, that's a worldwide Warner Brothers level company, which it is Warner Brothers,
Hey,
breathing
you know
down his neck.
You've opened the box now.
Okay, let's go, mate. We ain't got
Rings
long
of
left.
power. Rings of power.
When I was at my girlfriend's while I was ill, sadly, I was at hers while I was ill, but we were watching. She's got into The Walking Dead, like I've told you before, and because we're on Amazon Prime, we get adverts.
Oh, I don't. I paid. I couldn't stand
we
it.
didn't. We got adverts, and the Rings of Power came on. I immediately put my middle finger without a second of hesitation. She looked at me, looked at the finger, then looked at the title card, and she just put her middle finger up to it too. And she's like, "I already don't want to watch it."
It's just
goes to show it's not worth it. Everything. I've told you, and I've made it clear in the previous episodes. The only good things about the Ring of Power, because it's accurate, is the Balrogs. The 2 scenes that we have the Balrogs is the only clear
I haven't
thing.
even seen that much of it.
Mate, it's first season when the Balrogs, that's the dwarves going too greedy. They went too far. In the second season, it's the only scene that I've seen because I've told you, it's my dad showed me. It's because the Balrogs started attacking the dwarves because the dwarves literally tried attacking the Balrog. They saw it and they were like, screw it. Let's attack the damn thing. That makes no sense. In the books, it makes sense because that's taken out from the books. But everything in between, before and after, no.
No, it's just... It's once again, as we've spoken about before, when they try and change, as we've spoken about Rings of Power before. And
it's a cash grab.
It's just... But it's like, you look at other movies, like when they use magic and things like that. So Harry Potter, right?
Okay.
There's a few things about Harry Potter. So you think of the time turner that Hermione has. So she has a way to travel through time so that she can do multiple lessons at the same time, yeah? And then they use it to change one thing. All the things that happened in the Harry Potter world, she uses it to go between lessons and to save one man and Hippogriff. That's it. Of all the things they could have done and all the things they could have changed, that's all they do. Even though they can time travel.
For some reason, a part of me generally thinks that maybe there's some point in the film when Dumbledore... this is just me trying to grasp onto straws for it, but I feel like there is some point that Dumbledore says you have a certain time to go back to. You can't go all the way fucking back to the Chamber of Secrets.
No, but even they don't say that. They just say that you have to be careful, because the trouble is you have to live through that time. You can only... I don't know how easy it is to like switch the time, because the way they use it is you can go back. You can only go back. You can't go forwards. So if you go back, you then have to live out that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that would make sense. But then somebody had this damn thing before, so they could have stopped people from dying or something else. Somebody's had it floating around, and you know what? After that movie, nobody has it. It just disappears.
Yeah, I know. I remember watching it. I was like, what? Whoa. This whole Goblet of Fire thing can be completely changed, but no.
It's just, there's so many things like that. It's because they just don't give a shit about people. But here's a really odd thing about Harry Potter. The first movie, he never says a spell. The first time you hear him, Harry Potter, actually say a spell is when he's in the duel in the second movie with Malfoy. That's the first time you hear him say a spell. It's not the first time he uses magic, because he can use magic without speaking. He's one of the few wizards that can do a spell without having to speak. Not all of them can, but he can.
I know in the book. Yeah, in the books, the first spell that he utters is Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah.
And
they don't do it
in the film, he doesn't do it. It's a Hermione and Ron thing.
He kind of does that, is to say up once to get the broom.
Yeah.
The only time he does, but I'm not sure if that counts as a spell or not.
No, that's more of a command.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more of a command.
It's a bit odd when you think of that way.
Because broom is already enchanted.
Yeah.
And it's got the enchantment of up. If you say up a correct tone, it listens because it's enchanted. It's not a spell.
But it's like something that really annoys me in a lot of movies is when things happen just for the plot. Like Now You See Me. I love those movies, and there's a new one coming out soon as well. Don't know if you've seen those. It's about the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They're all magicians, like stage magicians, and they start robbing banks, and they do all these big things, but they're actually
Now You See Me.
Yeah, Now You See Me.
Yeah, I can't wait for it.
Woody Harrelson or something like that. But then the trouble is, half the stuff they do makes no sense. It's
it makes no sense, no.
Doing the card trick, where they're throwing the card around the room, and it's just like, and they're catching it and doing all. It's just like, a lot of it's just like, no, things don't work like that.
Guarantee you now, if I throw a playing card, it's going lopsided.
Yeah, but there's so much like that they do, and it's like, yeah, but that doesn't make any sense how that works. I know magic and all that, but it's not. There's actually, it's almost like they're using real magic, not stage magic, and you can't do that. It's not real, Make up your mind. They're either illusionists and they're tricking you, or they're actually using real magic. But it's not supposed to be real magic, but half the time it seems like it might be.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd. But anyway, anything else you wanted to add? Because obviously it's that time again.
No, not off the top of my head. I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I think we've covered most of it. There's obviously the odd coincidences like Forrest Gump being in every single thing in history ever. Which is a bit strange.
Is it bad of me that I generally thought when I first watched that, why haven't we learned Forrest Gump in history before? Like, this guy has been everywhere. Why haven't I seen him in the history book?
Oh my god!
It's just a film.
Titanic. The whole ending of Titanic. She doesn't let him lie down on the door, even though it's big enough for both of them. And the old lady has had like a family and everything else, and she throws away that ridiculously expensive jewel because she slept with some homeless guy. Like, what? It makes no sense. What about a whole family and a husband and her kids and just some random guy that she slept with on a cruise once? Like,
I'd set my children up for forever. That's what I would have done.
Her husband must have struggled through life, getting all nice things and working, and she's got that as worth a fortune. And she just wears it around her neck because that's just absolutely stupid. And like you look at things like Disney, Little Mermaid, she gives up her voice and doesn't follow it and think of anything about it just to be with some guy that she's seen one time. She gives up everything just for some guy she saw on a boat and hasn't even talked to. Like, what? What is that about? Or Sharknado? Tornado full of sharks? And they're all still alive? Like, come on. I love the movie, but it's a bit stupid. Though there are worse ones. There's a ghost shark that comes up out of people's toilets and stuff, but let's not go there. That's just a really bizarre film. Yeah, I'm not kidding. There is one called Ghost Shark.
Nuts.
Look it up. That's just bizarre. But anyway, we shall leave it there because otherwise we'll just carry on and on and on because there's way too many movies we can complain about. So it'd be nice if people do listen to this and would like to comment on what movies they think wind them up where it's just makes no sense, the things people do, other than the normal horror films where they go into the dark room by themselves, go into the forest or go down to the basement or in the attic. Oh, people. They're always Americans. Maybe that's why they do it.
Oh my god.
But anyway.
We always throw shade at Americans every podcast.
Look at them at the moment. Let's be honest. With
do
Trump,
you want 4 point?
Let's just say that, shall we? It doesn't happen in British ones, does it? Just saying. Well, there's not that many British horror movies when you think of it in the same kind of vein. But anyway, I digress. If anybody wants to find you also, where can they find you on the internet?
They can find me on YouTube, The Welsh Assassin, or on Twitch, The Welsh Assassin 998.
And for me, if you want to go on Twitch, you can find me under the name Nukami, or on my YouTube channel, which is called Wasn't My Fault. So thanks a lot for joining us. Please join us again soon, and obviously follow us and like us and that on all the different places you possibly can. And until next time, see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.